So everyone, thank you so much for being here tonight. We're going to keep everyone muted while Dr. Wallach is giving his presentation this evening. And then once he wraps that up, he'll be taking questions. Anything you may have to ask about health or anything like that, he's probably the man with the plan. So we're going to go ahead and dive on in. I'm going to mute everyone else. But Dr. Wallach, thank you so much for being here. We love having you. And
thank you.
Take it away, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Travis. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start by saying hello, happy New Year, and happy Black History Month, and all that kind of stuff. I think I want to start out with some data from the vaccinations, if I may, and then we'll get into comparisons of countries and cities and things, who's doing the best during this pandemic. When you look at Merck, you know, one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in America is certainly the world. And they were supposed to have the 2 big vaccinations come out a couple of weeks ago. And they pulled it at the last minute and said only that they got an inadequate response. And so they weren't going to release the vaccine. Boom, that was it. They spent billions of dollars on it. Sorry, inadequate response. Then came Johnson & Johnson a couple of weeks ago. And they said, okay, we have a 60 to 66% response worldwide, depending on whose data you look at. In the United States, we have a 72% response. 100% of our study group was over age 65. And in Africa, the response is 50%. Okay, so now let's look at Moderna came out next, say, hey, we have 94.1%. We're good effectiveness. But they only have 21% over the age of 65. And the blacks are only 9% of the population that they studied. Now, why would you have only 9% of the people who have the worst record of surviving the infection, and you only take 9% of them? Okay, so I think they're fiddling with the results there. 21% for Pfizer. Okay, Pfizer has 21% over age 65, and they have a they claim a 95%, but only 21% is over age 65. Whereas Johnson & Johnson, they have 100% over age 65, and they only have a 60% result. Okay, so age is a factor here, so I want you to appreciate that. Now, when you look at this virus, I'm going to go back to the Spanish flu in 1918. America lost 657,000 people in 2 years. Our worst month was October of 1918. We had 195,000 Americans die from the Spanish flu. Now, this all started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City, on the bluff overlooking the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge. That's when Thomas Edison and Jonathan Leaves pulled the switch in the first commercial electric generating plant. Within 20 years, everything in the world changed. Prior to that 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, when Thomas Edison pulled the switch, everybody on Earth, every human being on Earth, whether you're an emperor or a peasant farmer, a fisherman, a Arab living on a camel, everybody was getting mineral supplements because they were using wood for fuel. They're putting the wood ashes in their gardens. They're mixing wood ashes in their food. But as soon as electricity came, no more wood ashes. And when the people said, well, shouldn't we be supplementing with any vitamins, minerals? And doctors say, nah, just eat well, you get everything you need. Any doctor who says that should be put in jail as a serial killer, spelled C-E-R-I-A-L, and also or C-E-R-E-A-L, or S-E-R-I-A-L, okay? Either way, I do have a CD out called Serial Killers, goes into the gluten issue and so forth. I also have a book and a CD out on that story of the electricity and how it impacted us. The CD came out in 2003 when MERS, SARS, H1N1, and COVID-2 came out. And they got a vaccine and they got kind of a dip in the infections and the deaths, but then they had another big spike in 2005. And so that's why we have the book, came out in 2005, Hell's Kitchen. Kitchen's a place of heaven or hell, depending on what you're doing there. Right now, the group of people in America that have the shortest lifespans are trauma doctors. Their average lifespan is 57. That's a couple of months ago by CDC. OBGYNs, their average lifespan is 76. So why do they live 20 years longer than trauma doctors? Well, OBGYNs get free samples of vitamins and minerals, kitty vitamins, minerals, and prenatal vitamins and minerals from the providers. And instead of giving them to their patients, they take them themselves because they're free. Whereas the trauma doctors, 2 o'clock in the morning, they get up and they go home because they've just dealt with all these accidents and people being fried in fires and all this kind of stuff. So they'll stop and have a couple of pancakes or flour tortillas, some of these all-night Mexican food restaurants, and have a couple of beers and some rye whiskey, all of which is made from wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Now, with all that stuff going on, your bone marrow requires 90 essential nutrients to do its job. Your bone marrow is your immune system. The clue came at the beginning of this thing, almost a year and a half ago now, when they said when 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds get the virus infection, they'll have common cold-like symptoms for 3 to 5 days. Their body temperature will go up from 98.6 to 99, came in class as a fever. And in 3 to 5 days, they're perfectly normal. They have the antibodies against the bug and they're good to go. I think we've only had the millions of people in the world who've had, get this virus. Only like worldwide, we have 35 kids that have died and they had serious life-threatening pre-existing conditions, asthma and celiac disease and all that other kind of stuff. 35, okay? So let's compare. Right now, we here in America have, again, 26,200,948 infected, 446,327 dead. Arlington Cemetery since the Civil War, 400,000. And all our military dead since the Civil War, all wars. Let's kind of look at a couple of comparisons here. One of the biggest gluten countries is England, okay? The UK, and so we're looking at England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. They have 67 million people combined. They have 106,000 dead from the virus, and they have 3.8 million infected. And when you look at Thailand, which also has 67 million people, they have 77 dead versus 106,000 dead. They have 18,000 infections versus 3 million infections. But that's because they live on rice, seaweed, sweet potatoes, and the three sisters, maize, beans, and squash. Okay, let's look at a couple more and I think you'll have it. Let's look at Taiwan and Texas. Texas has 28 million people. Taiwan has 24 million people. Taiwan has 511 infected and 8 dead. Texas has 2,392,443 infected and 36,539 dead. What's the difference between Taiwan and Texas? Well, Texas is 40 to 50%, depending on what county you look at, Black, Latino, and Native American tribes. The 3 most impacted groups on Earth is about half of their population. So that's why they're heavily hit compared to Taiwanese who live on rice and sweet potatoes and corn and beans and seaweed. Yeah, let's look at a couple more. Let's look at Hong Kong versus Arizona. They both have 7.5 million people. Hong Kong has 181 dead, 10,453 infections. Arizona has 13,124 dead, and they have 752,145 infected, so 750,000. What's the difference? Well, in Hong Kong, they're Asian. They just live on rice and algae, seaweed, okay? And the 3 sisters, maize, beans, and corn. Let's look at a couple more, and I think you'll have it. Let's look at Mexico and Japan. They both have 128 million people. Mexico has 1,869,708 infected, 159,100 dead, almost 160,000 dead. Japan, same population, has 391,626 infected, which is like 1/5. Okay, the numbers. But they have 5,794 dead. 5,794 dead versus 159,000 dead. Well, the Japanese, Asian, they live on rice and sweet potatoes and beans and maize and seaweed, but they don't eat a whole lot of wheat except around our military bases. And we got to look at one or two more. Let's look at, oh, here's a comparison I love. Vietnam, 96 million people in Vietnam. And you look at Texas again, they have 29 million people, okay? So about a third of the population of Vietnam. Vietnam has 35 dead and 1,800 infected. And Texas has 2,392,443 infected and 36,539 dead. They have 1,000 times more dead and 1,000,000 times more infected. Again, Texas, like Arizona and Florida. Florida's another one I need to show you, okay? But Texas and Florida and Arizona, they're at least 50% Native Americans, Latinos, okay, and Black. And that's why they have such a high thing. Now, it's not a genetic thing. It's not a genetic thing. It's a thing of what they eat, okay? It's not a genetic thing. It has to do with their choices of food, okay? It's how they live. It's not a genetic thing. Because if you get Black people who do what the 5 blue zone people do, they won't die from the pandemic virus, okay? Now you look at the peoples in the 5 blue zones. Okinawa, again, has 90 dead, 7,000 infected. Loma Linda, we're looking at the Seventh-day Adventists in California, right? They have 111 infected and 3 dead. They have 9,000 people. In Nicoya, okay, in Costa Rica, it's an island. They have almost 25 million people. They have 4 dead and 82 infected. They live on rice and seaweed, the 3 sisters, maize, beans. And then you look at Sardinia. They have 1.6 million people in Sardinia, Italy. They have 38,000 infections and 982 dead. And so the point I'm getting at here is how you choose to eat, okay? How you choose, it's a lifestyle. It's not a genetic thing. And so we can end this pandemic in the Blacks and the Latinos and the Native Americans if they would just eat like the people in the 5 blue zones and take the 90 essential nutrients, because your bone marrow is what makes the white blood cells, the T lymphocytes, to go kill and eat the viruses. Now, vaccines, again, do not kill the viruses or bacteria, fungus, or yeast. Vaccines just alert your body to the DNA and RNA and proteins of the viruses, bacteria, fungus, and yeast. So when the bug comes, you say, that's the bad stuff. And you're supposed to send your white blood cells, your antibodies, and your platelets, your red blood cells to go kill and eat the viruses. But if you're not absorbing the nutrients because all your villi are dead because you've been living on gluten since before you were conceived, because mama was eating wheat brought around oats, right? I have to have my oatmeal for breakfast, my flour tortillas at lunch, and spaghetti factory 3 nights a week, and beer made from wheat. Isn't it funny? The best-selling beer in Mexico is Corona beer. Why did they name the virus after the beer? Okay, so what it comes down to is everybody needs to get off of the wheat, butter, and oats. And I'm 82 years old. Most people think I'm in my 50s or early 60s because of my energy and this, that, and the other. but in June I will turn 82. Okay. And so I don't have any pre-existing conditions. I'm not obese. I only weigh 142 pounds. I'm 5'6". I don't have any diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease of any kind. I don't have any arthritis. I don't have any memory problems. I have all my own teeth except one was knocked out in a fight. The other guy, he lost all of his teeth in the fight because I beat the snot out of him for knocking my one out. But these are all my own teeth. Okay. And I don't have any ringing in the ears. I've never had Bell's palsy. I've never had any thyroid issues. I don't have any problems with my sex life. Everything is good. I don't have any liver disease. I've never been on dialysis. I don't have any kidney problems. I don't have any skin issues. I don't have any eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, or rosacea. I don't have any celiac disease or irritable bowel syndrome, or I don't have any ulcerative colitis. I don't have any of that stuff because, Travis, I've been gluten-free for 73 years because I figured it out when I was 9. And I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients for 73 years. Over to you.
Thank you for sharing all of that about COVID, the new numbers, all of that stuff, and about the vaccine. I know a lot of us are wondering, is it worth it? Is it going to make a difference? Is it even going to slow it down? And, you know,
well, you see, here's what I've said to answer that question, because people have been asking me that question for a year. Oh, when the vaccine comes, should I take it? I said, well, I guarantee you the vaccine's not going to kill you. I mean, because everybody knows how people are nervous about the vaccine. They're paranoid about the vaccine. So they're going to test it and test it and test it and test it until there's absolutely no possible chance the vaccine is going to kill you. However, only kids under the age of 10 are going to have a predictable positive result of the vaccine. Okay. As you get older, those villi begin to go away because you're eating gluten. Okay, and you cannot absorb whatever nutrients are in the food. Even if you're supplementing, your absorption goes down because of the pro-inflammatory cytokines, they're called. It's produced by the gluten, and they kill your villi in your intestines. So now all your villi are gone. You have 2% absorptive surface that you had when you were 3. And even if you're supplementing, you can't absorb the nutrients. So I took the nutrients, I took the vaccination, how come I died? Well, that's because you couldn't get the nutrition to your bone marrow, which is your immune system, to make the white blood cells, the stem cells to make the antibodies, the red blood cells, and the platelets. Now, most people who die from the virus infection don't die from a respiratory viral lung infection. They die from hemorrhaging because their bone marrow is dead. Now, you've heard, now, Travis, I know you've heard of people. You may even have somebody in your family who has to go to the doctor once a month to get an iron shot and a B12 shot because they're chronically anemic. Okay, when that doesn't work, they say, well, every other month we're going to have to give you a transfusion, so we give you some red blood cells and some platelets from somebody else because you're not making platelets. You're going to bleed to death if we don't give you platelets. And then after 6 months to a year of that, they say, you know, why go through all this? We're just going to give you a bone marrow transplant. You know, you're 75 years old, your bone marrow's dead, there's nothing we can do about it here, so we're going to give you a bone marrow transplant. I'm 82 years old, there's nothing wrong with my bone marrow. Okay, I don't have any problems. Never get a nosebleed. If I nick myself shaving, no problem. In 2 seconds, 2 drops of blood, it clots. Okay, because my bone marrow's the same as I was when I was 3. So I think you've got the story now.
Right. So the negative response to the vaccine that a lot of people are facing is in the same way how people negatively respond to just life, to diseases and all those things, right? If we're not drop dead gluten free, we're not taking the 90 essential nutrients, we're going to have a
Well, I'm going to give you the subtitle of my book, Hell's Kitchen, which came out in 2005 when the SARS and MERS and H1N1 and COVID-2 were coming out and killing so many people. Okay, the book Hell's Kitchen. Here is the subtitle: The Cause, Prevention, and Cure of Obesity, Diabetes, and the Metabolic Syndrome, which includes high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, liver cirrhosis, and that kind of stuff, and also the intestinal issues from gluten. I knew this back then because when you do 32,000 autopsies, okay, my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure because I figured out there's no genetic diseases, there are no genetically transmitted birth defects, they're all caused by nutritional deficiencies. Now, how many of your associates or your family their doctors have a 5,000 page thesis in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. 0. Okay, now I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that my material is totally 1,000% different than anybody else's. Okay. Let's see here. Has the Clackbusters come after me? No, because they probably looked at me, but they say, we don't want to touch this guy because he'll bury us. Okay. Now you can go to Siri or Amazon and ask for a used, beat up copy of my thesis. W.B. Saunders, the biggest medical textbook publisher in the world, published my thesis as a textbook in 1983. They edited it down from 5,000 pages because they didn't want to have 10 books or like the Encyclopedia Britannica. So they edited it down from 5,000 pages, 1,200 pages, all of their top medical editors. So they didn't change the meaning of anything. I had to read it and approve everything. Okay, so 1,200 pages, hardcover. They called it The Diseases of Exotic Animals because 17,000 and some change of those 20,000 autopsies were zoo animals from various zoos around North America. And the other zoos would freeze them and send them to me. And 3,000 were humans. So the disease of exotic animals, look it up. You can find, and you can find 4, 6, 8, 10, depending on what week you're looking at. Okay, and they'll say, okay, we have 10 available now, 4 available now, $4,500 each, plus shipping. If they're in good condition, not beat up, they're going to cost you $6,000, $8,000. If they're in very good condition out of a medical library, they'll be $8,000 to $12,000, $15,000 each. Brand new in the box, never opened, they sell for $25,000 to $35,000 each. That's my postdoctoral fellowship study, $25 million grant from NIH. That's why I came back from Africa, was to do that study.
It's incredible those are still in circulation and are so valuable that the price point is still where and above where it was set when they first released the book. So
right.
From here, I would like to open it up. We have a handful of people here tonight. I would love to have them jump in. I'm going to allow whoever's on here to unmute yourself and jump in. Whenever you do, can you just introduce yourself to Dr. Wallach so we know who it is, and go ahead and ask your question? All right, go ahead. Is that Kaylin?
Yes. My name is Kaylin Farstead. Hi, I spoke with you on the phone. Actually, I think about a week ago. It was amazing. But
well, I apologize. I've spoken to 20,000 people since then, so
no worries at all. My question for you is, what role has your relationship with the Lord played in your mission to empower others to self-heal?
Okay. You have to appreciate that God is the greatest physician of all time. Okay. Now, I have another book coming out here pretty soon. It's called The Greatest Stories of All Time. The greatest story of all time is the Bible. Now, when Moses got the 10 Commandments, did he write a whole new book? No. The 10 Commandments were a supplement to the original Old Testament, right? Well, my book, The Greatest Stories Ever Told, the subtitle is Millions of Healing Miracles, and it's going to be a supplement to the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran, and the religious books of the Chinese and the people from India. It's going to be a supplement, so I don't have to spend 6 years writing a whole new book. And this is going to come out by June, I believe, because of all the healing miracles we had. Now, I'm not so arrogant to think that I figured all this out. Now, why the good Lord chose me to give me this information and allow me to see these things, I have no earthly idea, but I give the Lord all the credit. So thank you for asking that great question.
That was wonderful, Kaylin. Thank you.
You're such a godsend, honestly. Like, finding your information put my life on a whole different trajectory. I was this close to applying to allopathic medical school, and I'm very thankful for your work and everything.
Well, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family.
Awesome. Who else would like to go? Any questions for Doc? Go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself before you start.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Quincy Howard. I'm calling in from Brunswick, Georgia. And I just, innately have a desire to, find out how the body works. I had a mentor a couple of years ago, And I grew up in Long Beach, California. So, you know, I wasn't a very mechanically savvy guy. And I was kind of ashamed when it came time to change a tire. I didn't really know how to change a tire. And I asked one of my mentors, like, man, I'm ashamed. Can you teach me how to, you know, change a tire? And he told me something profound. He said, you know, most men know how to work on a car. They know how a car works, how the carburetor works, and how the engine. He said, but the average man doesn't know anything about how the body works. He said, learn how the body works. It'll benefit you in the long run. And that
Have
was
you
kind
heard
of,
this book?
yeah, that was
Quincy,
kind of, I'm listening.
Quincy, did I get your name right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever heard of this book? Black Gene Lies?
No, sir.
Okay. Let me tell you, take 2 minutes and tell you the story of the book and the CD, Black Gene Lies. Have you ever heard of Pastor Creflo Dollar? Pastor
Yes,
Creflo Dollar from Georgia?
I have.
Okay. Well, about 25 years ago, maybe even a little longer, I was working with Andy Young. He had double knee replacement scheduled. He had bone-to-bone arthritis in his knees, and I rebuilt his knees. So he started introducing me to the Black community at that time in Georgia. And I had worked with professional boxers, Evander Holyfield. I rebuilt him. He had his heart attack, and I rebuilt him. He came back and beat Mike Tyson. After he had a heart attack, everybody else would be an invalid. I invented the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack for Evander Holyfield. Rebuilt his heart. He came back and beat Mike Tyson. Okay. Now,
Wow.
when we're talking about Pastor Creflo Dollar, Andy Young introduced me to him. We did a three-way call. And Pastor Dollar told me, he says, look, my daughter was diagnosed at birth with a genetic disease of black kids. And the doctors at that time said she wasn't going to live very long. She could die anywhere between 6 years of age and 12 years of age. She's 11 years old now, and she's on her deathbed in a hospital. They don't give her but weeks to live. Is there anything we can do? And Andy Young took me to him to talk about this. And I said, yes, sir, I believe I can save her. And I gave her the 90 essential nutrients. In 2 weeks' time, she was cured. Praise God. And he was just shocked. He says, well, these are the best doctors in the world here, okay, in Atlanta, Georgia. I said, well, I agree with that, but they only treat symptoms. They don't get to the basic root cause of the disease. I went to the basic root cause of your daughter's disease, okay, which was a gluten issue. She couldn't absorb nutrients, and so she's dying of nutritional deficiencies. So I just got her off of gluten and got her on the 90, and that's why she's recovered in 2 weeks. He said, what about all the other genetic diseases in black folks? I said, well, there are none. My thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute because it shows there are no genetic diseases. He says, come on. So he took me to his church, and I gave a lecture at Pastor Creflo Dollar's church. It was the first recording of any one of my lectures. We called it Black Gene Lies. Went into high blood pressure, diabetes, liver cirrhosis, kidney failure, dialysis, Alzheimer's disease, arthritis, irritable bowel syndrome, all the stuff that doctors will tell you are autoimmune diseases and so forth. I said, no, these are all simple nutritional deficiency diseases. He said, put it in a book. So I put it into a book. He paid for the first 10,000 copies, okay, and the first 10,000 copies of the CD. Every black kid in America needs to listen to that CD twice a week for the rest of their life. Every black kid in America needs to read this book once a month for the rest of their life. And they will add, Quincy, they will add 25 to 50 healthy years to their life, and COVID won't kill them if they do what I say. Okay. I've worked with the black community. Theo Ratliff, I don't know if you know of him, great basketball player. His career was over. They took his contracts away from him because every joint in his body was breaking and falling apart. I made the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack for him. I made the Rebound or Sports Strength for him. Got him rebuilt in 30 days. He got a $35 million contract and played for 12 more years after they said he was done. Okay, a Rebound was built for him. And then I spent 2 years in Africa working on the White Rhino Conservation Project. My book, that was the first book I ever wrote, okay? It's called Rhino Express, so that's a great book. I lived with the Zulu, had to learn Zulu and Matabele because nobody spoke English, so I had to learn that for 2 years. But I'm glad you're here because you're asking the right questions. And so if you will get this book, and I'll give you, if I may, you want me to give out my website, Travis, or you want to give out yours?
You give out yours for your books, and I'll put it in the chat as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, you get my books and my CDs and DVDs at www.drjwallach.com, www.drjwallach.com, all lowercase, drjwallach.com. Thank you. Okay. And if you get 10 of them, you get a discount. If you get 50, you get a big discount. Same way with the books. If you get 10, you get a discount. If you get a case, you get a big discount. And so, you know, this is Black History Month. And again, my favorite Black scientist was George Washington Carver, because he figured out how to rotate crops when all the soil was dying in the southern states because they just grew cotton every year. And he had them to grow peanuts and soybeans every other year to rebuild the soil. And he was a Black kid who was born a year before the Civil Rights started, or it's not the Civil War, before the Civil War started. Okay. And he died in 1945 or 43 or whatever it was into the Second World War. So he was a double war baby. He was a war baby during the Civil War, and he was a war baby during the Second World War. But he figured out, and he had to get people to learn how to use the peanuts. Okay, what are they going to do? So he came up with 300 different products using peanuts and soybeans, so they would be incentivized to grow peanuts and soybeans every other year, not cotton every year. So at any rate, the Black community, this is Black History Month. Get everybody you know involved with longevity, and we can save the Black population. It's a cultural thing. That's the word I was looking for. It's a cultural thing. It is not a genetic thing. No Black person should die of the pandemic virus. No Latino should die from the pandemic virus. No Native American should die of the pandemic virus. I'll give you, again, the Ojibwe Indians in northern Minnesota, they have 0 dead and 27 infections. The Navajo Indians in Arizona have 838 dead and 24,000 infections. Well, that's a big difference, okay? It's 800 times more dead and 1,000 times more infections. So what's the difference? Well, the Navajo in Arizona live on wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and the Ojibwe Indians in Minnesota live on wild rice. There you go.
I have a question in terms of, do you recommend any nutrient packs to heal hernias?
Okay, well, hernias you can heal, but you have to also use one of the belts in the pad and hold it in place, whether it's a belly button hernia, an inguinal hernia, but you have to have that brace to hold it in place, okay? And then you have to throw in some connective tissue supplements, okay? I'd go with the big hammer in the toolbox, or Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, okay? Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, 1 per 100 pounds of body weight. If they only weigh 120, 130 pounds, like a little lady or something like that, or a kid, they need to get an extra bottle of our selenium, so they can take 3 of our selenium twice a day, not Walgreens selenium. Our selenium has 5 cofactors, and it's one of the cofactors missing in that selenium that causes hernias, because that cofactor is required to build the elastic fibers in the ligaments holding the muscles together in your inguinal area, your belly button area. It's for the walls of the veins and the arteries. Do you ever hear of a guy by the name of Michael Jackson?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry. I hit the mute button. Of course, we know Michael Jackson.
Okay. Now, he was very deficient in that nutrient. He had snow white hair by the time he was 18 years old, and he was wearing a wig. He had to wear garish makeup all over himself because he had vitiligo over his whole body, lost all his ability to make skin color. And he died of a ruptured aortic aneurysm at age 41, I think. All that's caused by a deficiency of a single nutrient. Now, if he would have come to me and gotten on the same thing that I gave Evander Holyfield, he'd still be alive today. Okay, but he wore a wig and he wore makeup and long sleeves, and he wore those gloves with all the jewelry on it so nobody would see his white hands. So, can you heal? Yeah, you can heal a hernia, but you got to do other things. You got to put, 4x4 under the feet of your bed, so your feet are 4 inches higher than your head when you sleep at night. So gravity will pull that hernia away from your inguinal area. If it's a belly button hernia, an umbilical hernia, you got to put the 4x4 under the head of the bed, so all your guts go down to your pelvis instead of pushing against your belly button. And if you're overweight, you need to lose 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds so you get that pressure off of that area. And then you take the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, again, the extra selenium, so you can take 3 of those, a minimum of twice a day. A big guy like you, if that's you you're talking about, you need 3 times a day. Don't forget the MSM. I'd go ahead and take 3 MSM 3 times a day for a big guy like you. For somebody 150 pounds or 200 pounds, they could take 3 twice a day, the MSM. Don't forget the collagen peptides to rebuild all those ligaments and everything and hold things together. But you got to let gravity help you when you're sleeping at night. And don't forget the braces 24/7 to hold things in. So it's not the guts aren't pushing against the hole and keeping the hole open.
Great.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Travis, for the invite. I appreciate it. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
My god brother is overcoming lupus right now, and he does dialysis at the treatment center 3 times a week. What would you recommend for lupus, and then getting him off of the dialysis machine?
Okay. How old is he and how much does he weigh?
He's 36 years old, and I believe he weighs between 180 and 190 pounds right now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So here we go. First of all, lupus is not an autoimmune disease. It's actually a nutritional deficiency caused by chronic eating of gluten, wheat, rye, and oats. Okay. And so they get that rash on their face. Their bone marrow dies and all that kind of stuff. You know, the whole thing that goes along with, oh, you have an autoimmune disease. No, it's a gluten thing, and they have nutritional deficiencies. I'm going to tell you a story, and you'll understand the answer to the dialysis thing from the story. This is a Canadian. I do this thousands of times a month all over the whole world. So this is not a lie. Okay. This guy comes to me. He's on dialysis 6 days a week for 10 years because he hasn't peed in 10 years. He has not urinated in 10 years. So he got dialysis 6 days a week for 10 years. Totally, he's been taking dialysis for 25 years because he didn't want to get a kidney transplant. So we get him on about the same weight as your friend here. So we get him off all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, no sugar. He has to live like an Asian. Has to live like an Asian. Rice, corn, beans. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Seaweed. Okay, so he needs 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. He needs to take our Fucoid Z, take 3 of those twice a day. Okay, and then he needs the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I want him to take 3 of those 3 times a day. That'll be 3 bottles a month. I also want him to have the MSM, 3 of those 3 times a day. That's 2 bottles a month. Now, don't forget the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, 3 times a day. Now, here's what's happening. Now, when I was a student and studying pathology, they're bringing me trays of kidneys they're taking from people that are giving kidney transplants who are on dialysis. And I look at the kidneys with my naked eyes, and I look at the kidneys under the microscope, and I say, there's nothing wrong with these kidneys. Did you get them from the right guys? Yeah. And so then I started looking deeper, and I'm looking at the arteries. Well, the arteries are plugged. Okay. So that's why I came up with the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I guarantee you this guy's got high blood pressure. He's either being treated for it, and he's got it, quote, under control, and he's happy. Okay. But I guarantee he's got high blood pressure, because when you're on dialysis, your kidneys are releasing hormone. Okay. And this hormone causes your blood pressure to go up so that more dirty blood will get into the kidney. So anyway, I put him on this program, and in 2 weeks' time, he's urinating. So they drop his dialysis after 10 years, 3 days a week. And in 2 more weeks, he's totally off of dialysis after 25 years on dialysis and 6 days a week for 10 years. So in a total of 4 weeks, he's totally off of dialysis because I fixed his arteries. It wasn't a kidney problem. And so once people understood the story, this is happening. Dialysis labs are going out of business because of me.
That's incredible.
No wheat, barley, rye, and oats. No fried foods. No processed meats. No wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Okay. And if he wants salad dressings and things like that, he's got to go to our savor division, which is our spice division. We have safe salad dressings that don't have wheat, barley, rye, or oats in them, and don't have oils and things like that. So you got lots of work to do here, Quincy.
Yes, sir. I thank you so much for your life of dedication to helping others. And I pray that God continue to give you strength.
Okay, well, thank you. It's just the beginning. Okay. Just think of all the people who've lived to be 300, 500, 969. Why not us? Well, if we do everything right, we can get there too.
Amen to that.
Hey, Dr. Wallach, this is Don Alley.
Don?
What would you recommend for anyone who is currently sick with COVID?
Okay. Well, they need their immune system going good. They need to get off all the bad stuff so they can heal the villi in their intestines and begin to absorb stuff. Absolutely no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, and oats, and no sugar. Then they need one healthy brain and heart pack per month, full dose everything twice a day. Now, or half a day if they only weigh 100 pounds. Do you know how much this person weighs?
This is for just in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, okay. So one healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. And if they only weigh 120 pounds, they get another bottle of our selenium, not selenium from Walgreens, but our selenium because of the 5 cofactors. And so 3 twice a day of our selenium, okay, per 100 pounds of body weight. But they also need our colloidal silver. I take 2 droppers full of our colloidal silver 4 times a day. I take 1 dropper full on the left side of my tongue, 1 dropper full to the right side of my tongue, a half hour before breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and also a half hour before bedtime. I've been doing that for 20 years. We also have our hand sanitizer. I also use a mask when I go outside, okay? I also socially distance. Am I going to get the vaccination? No. Not because I'm afraid of it. It's just I don't need it. I don't want to go stand in line for 3 hours out there with a bunch of sick people, okay? But they need to also take our killer biotic, take 3 of those twice a day to support their immune system, killer biotic. They also need to take our Cell Shield RTQ, take 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. But don't forget the Fucoid Z. Take 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. That's in addition to the healthy brain and heart pack and the extra selenium and so forth. And this will support the immune system. Your bone marrow is your immune system. Okay? The vaccines won't work efficiently without your bone marrow being healthy and able to respond to the appearance of the virus. Now, it's one of those things, again, where kids under the age of 10 are going to get a predictable response to the vaccinations. But people, as they get older, 30, 50, 70, they're going to have a reduced response to the vaccine, especially if they eat gluten and don't supplement. And so whoever these people are, if they're already infected with COVID, they better get off of gluten. They better supplement with the 90 and take this program that I just laid out for you with all the immune support products we have. I take 90 tablets, pills, and capsules twice a day. I take the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack twice a day. I take all the other secret sauces that I've mentioned to you 2 or 3 times a day, depending on them. And I go through probably about $500 worth of supplements a month myself, but I have to pay for them. The company doesn't give them to me for free. I do not get a paycheck from the company. The company pays me nothing. I set that up that way so people say, well, yeah, you're telling people to take all that stuff because you make all the money. The company has never paid me a paycheck. I don't have a distributorship. I do not make any money from the sale of any of the products. I have to pay for my own products. Okay, so I want people to know that piece too.
Good. I hear that some people, I guess the media is saying that it's possible to get it a second time. Is that true?
Can you get a cold a second time? Of course you can.
Every year, but
well, there you go. If your immune
But
system
then,
is dead
you know.
because you've been eating, if your immune system's dead because you're eating gluten,
yeah,
you're going to get it every month.
yeah. Okay. So my other question was about masks. Is it really helping prevent? Will it actually help prevent, or would
Okay.
you rather say, you know, if you get
Let
sick?
me answer that question.
Mhm.
I'm going to answer that question 2 ways. It's a very good question, actually. When a surgeon is doing surgery on a patient, who's wearing the mask, the surgeon or the patient?
The surgeon.
The surgeon is wearing the mask so he doesn't infect the patient. Same
Right.
way. Who's infecting whom? Okay. Now, if somebody has the virus, they can infect you. Okay. They should be wearing the mask. You can wear the mask. It's going to, you know, it's one of those things. If you're 50 miles apart, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get the virus. If you're close together, the mask will reduce your risk of getting the virus. But I'm going to have to name a guy by the name of Anthony Fauci. Okay. He's been on this pandemic thing here since it started a year and a half ago. And what did we get for distancing, wearing a mask, and washing your hands? 26,200,948 infections, 446,327 dead. Because he only gave you 3% of what you needed. Now, has anybody ever heard of the movie and the book Manchurian Candidate? Do you remember the story, Travis?
I
Let me
believe
give
so.
you. Well, okay. I apologize. What's your name again, sir?
Don Alley.
Don. Let me give you a 2-minute version of the Manchurian Candidate. During the Korean War, this is the book, okay, in the movie. An officer and a sergeant were captured by the North Koreans, and they were brainwashed for 2 years, and then the war was over, and they sent them back to the United States, and they ran for public offices. But they were brainwashed, and they were working as agents unwittingly, unknowingly. They were working as agents for the North Koreans. That's why they're called the Manchurian Candidates. Now, Fauci said, wear a mask, distance 6 feet, wash your hands. And I actually have a CD of him saying, the flu is worse than this. Don't worry about this. This is a nothing thing. Don't worry about it. Just distance, wear a mask, and wash your hands. It'll be no big deal. And what do we get from that? From that prescription? 26,200,948 infected, 446,327 dead. The whole world is infected, okay? The world has 103 million infected. We have 25% of the infections in America because we have Fauci, okay? Now I have the CD coming out, the Manchurian prescription. It tells the story in great detail because I gave a lecture through Scott Ferdulis to 8 Asian countries about a month or so ago. And I tell the story. I give 2 or 3 minutes in English, and we had translators translated into Mandarin and Korean and so forth. Then I talk again for 2 or 3 minutes, and they translate it again. That CD is coming out here in a couple of weeks. I guarantee you, in Asia, we're going to sell billions of them, okay? Because the Manchurians, going back to 1905 and 1907 kind of thing, they were very bad guys in China, okay? They were called Manchurians. Not Mandarins, Manchurians, okay? And so that's why this CD is called the Manchurian prescription, because Fauci gave us a prescription, whether it was an unwitting thing on his part and he was just ignorant, or he did this purposely, remains to be seen. We'll find out, because I'm sure somebody, when the CD comes out, there's going to be a lot of legal action flying around, because we did what we were told, and we got 26,121,856 infections, 446,327 dead, following the Manchurian prescription. Okay, next, we got time for what? One or two more?
1 or 2 more. So we're going to jump to Daniel. He went ahead and raised his hand, so I want to let him jump in here.
What up, Doc?
Hey, Daniel.
How you guys doing?
How can we help you, sir?
Hey, so I had a guy that I was talking to that's trying to lose some weight, and he's also dealing with COPD. And I was
How old is he? Okay, stop. How old is he?
He's probably about 40s, mid 40s, early 50s.
Okay. Now, how much does he weigh?
Looking at the guy, he's probably like 250.
And how tall is he?
See, he's probably about 6'1", 6'2".
Okay, so he needs to lose about 50, 60 pounds. Okay, maybe, kind of thing. Okay, and so here we go. I have to ask a couple of quick questions. Does he have any skin issues, any eczema, dermatitis, or psoriasis?
Don't know.
Okay, does he have any bowel problems? Any constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, ulcerative colitis?
Not sure. We didn't get that far into it.
Okay, you need to answer those questions. Okay, now here's why I ask those questions. Oh, does he have any heart issues? Does he have any tachycardia, fast heart rate? Does he have bradycardia, slow heart rate? Does he have atrial fibrillation or anything like that, or congestive heart failure? Do you know?
Possibly.
Well, we need to know. Okay, I'll
Okay.
put down possibly heart, but we need to know. Also, I need to know, does he have any high blood pressure or diabetes?
Don't know.
Okay, you need to find out all this stuff.
Will do.
Can you fix my car? Well, what's wrong with it? I don't know. It needs waxing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no
You're not
worries.
giving me a lot of information. Okay, now COPD is caused by osteoporosis of the skull. COPD is caused by osteoporosis of the skull and a squeezing of the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve. You can also get hiccups, atrial fibrillation, belly problems, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to go with what I know here, but this guy needs to get rid of all the bad foods: no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, rye, oats, no sugar. He needs to get 2 meals of his 3 meals a day. Doesn't matter, doesn't have to be the same meals every day, but 2 of his 3 meals every day have to be a keto caramel meal, either our shake or our bar, not both at the same meal. And then he needs 3, did you say 230 pounds or 280 pounds?
About 250.
Okay, yeah, because I can't read my own writing here. 250. Okay, yeah. So he needs 3 healthy brain and heart packs per month, full dose of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 2 of the 3 meals have to be a keto caramel meal, either a bar or a shake. He needs an MSM. I want him to take 3 of those 3 times a day. That'll be 2 bottles a month of our MSM, so he can rebuild the connective tissue in his skull, rebuild the connective tissue in his disc between his vertebrae. And I want this guy to get this book. It's all in your head, because there's 25 different diseases you get from osteoporosis of the skull. They get ringing in the ears called tinnitus. They get balance problems. They can get peripheral neuropathies in the feet and the hands and the arms and the legs. They get skin problems. They might even be diagnosed with lupus and all that kind of stuff. And really, most of the time, it's osteoporosis of the skull. They may have all these other things going on too, but they need to get rid of the fried foods, the processed meats, the oils, the glutens, wheat, bran, rye, and oats, and take the supplements I just outlined for you, and it'll all go away. All of these are nutritional deficiencies. And of course, surgeons want to do surgery and give drugs and sell them machines and implant things and all that kind of stuff, because that's how they get the money to send their kids to college.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay.
Dr. Wallach.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, last one, we're gonna go to Laura. They messaged us first from his last list of questions.
Okay, this will be the last one. Laura, okay?
All right, Rivera family, you guys are up.
Hey, doctor. How you doing?
Okay, sir. How can we help you guys?
My name is Ricardo Rivera, and I've been a diabetic for like 20 years already. But I've been on insulin for about between 10 to 15 years.
Okay, how old are you?
50
And how much do you weigh?
to 15,
Okay, how tall are you?
5'8".
Okay, do you have any other issues? High blood pressure?
Slightly
High blood pressure.
high. My high blood pressure is a little bit high.
You taking medication for that?
Yeah.
Do you have any arthritis?
Not really, no.
Do you have any sciatica, low back pain?
No.
Your wife is looking at you funny, like you're lying.
Right. He has pain to his heel. He has
I have
plantar
fasciitis right
fasciitis.
now, yeah.
Okay, so his plantar fasciitis. Okay, yeah, that's a back issue. Okay, that's a back issue. Do you have low back pain?
Not normally, no.
Okay. Do you have any ringing in your ears? Do you have any tinnitus, any tone in your ear, kind of like the noise?
No.
Do you have any balance problems?
No.
Okay, here we go. Your wife and yourself and your dog and cat and bird and fish and all your kids and everybody living in the house. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a police officer.
Oh, good. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that. Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. Absolutely no bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, bran, rye, and oats. If you're going to eat tortillas, they got to be corn tortillas. They cannot be flour tortillas. You can't eat spaghetti. You cannot have pancakes and waffles. You can't have any of that stuff. Gluten alert, gluten alert, gluten alert. Okay. You have to live on corn and rice, okay, and beans and squash. And okay, here we go. I want you to take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, the full dose of everything twice a day. I want you to get 2 bottles of our sweeties a month, so you can take 3 of those sweeties twice a day. Don't cold turkey off your medication, but as you take your blood sugar and your blood sugar begins to come down, you can reduce your medication based on the numbers as you've been taught to do. And then next time you call me, I want to know what your A1C is today. and I want to know what it is in 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 weeks and so forth. Do you know your A1C?
Last time it was around 9.
Yeah, well, you're not controlling your sugar very well. Should be below 4. Okay. Okay. So we want to know in 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 weeks what the A1C is. Okay. Then I also want you to take 3 of our glucogenics or glycogenics, I guess it is, at lunchtime. Okay. It's another product for diabetes. I also want you to take the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. Take 3 of those 3 times a day, 3 bottles a month. The blood pressure will come down because it'll support healthy blood pressure and also support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries. And then I want you to, if I didn't say it, I want you to take the MSM, take 3 of those 3 times a day, 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner time. So your bone marrow will be healthy, your skin will be healthy, your cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue will be healthy, and all the pain in your feet and your hands and so forth will be good. Okay. Now, we have the book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie in Spanish. We have the CD, Dead Doctors Don't Lie in Spanish. Okay. We've sold 600 million copies of the Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Okay. It's in Spanish and 8 other languages. And so we sell a lot of them here all over the world. Okay.
Okay.
You need to listen to that. You need to get this thing, okay? Because you have some of the symptoms of osteoporosis of the skull also. Okay.
Okay.
So give us a call every couple of weeks, through Travis. And guess what? Everything you've got will go away in weeks if you do the right thing, and your A1C will come down to 4.
Okay. Another thing, is there a way for me to calculate my A1C level on my own by myself at the house?
No, I don't know how to do that.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lab test, and I don't know that they offer that lab test online. So you have to ask your doctor, can you do it from home? Okay. Or can they take a blood sample and take it down to their lab, take the blood sample to the house and okay. That's where you want to have a friend who's a nurse or a med tech or something like that, or even a pharmacist. Okay. If you have a brother who's a pharmacist. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, God
right,
bless you. Thank you for your service.
Thank
Okay.
you for your
Appreciate you. Vaya con Dios. Vaya con Dios.
Thank you.
Dr. Wallach, thank you for being here. Everyone else that's on here, I know we ran out of time for questions tonight. So I put my number in the chat, so reach out to me or whoever invited you tonight so that you can get your questions answered on the next call or through one of us. We're holistic health coaches as well. We may not know as much as Doc, but we can definitely get you on the right.
If you don't know something, you can always contact me.
And we'll call. Yeah, we got Dr. Wallach on call. He's usually busy, but he makes
I'll be there for you.
Thank you, Dr. Wallach. We love you. God bless you. And we'll see you
God
next
bless you. Vaya con Dios.